Hey, the ruler is DMO73 here, bringing you the deck profile for the Asuka Turbo Ramp. We had Athenia doing her life loss loops, but it's really time to get in there and start reanimating huge swarms of people all at once with Asuka and ramping the stones to be able to do it. So let's jump right in. This session brought to you by Odyssey Games for pre-orders and sealed product, CCG Prime for tons of singles and supplies, Cardo Doko for international rulers looking for product, and fowtlibrary.com for articles and wonderful deck lists. It's also brought to you by our guest lecturer patrons, Vite Ramen. Class is in session. So this is the list. See it all right here on screen. We're not going to dig too much into the sideboard stuff, obviously, because it's local dependent, but because we're running a lot of stones, there are some tricks you're going to need to see, so we'll jump into that. Obviously, we're playing Asuka, the Gravekeeper Tsukiyomi, because we want to be able to contract for End of Night, and then to start it off, we're playing Darkness Moon and Wind Moon Children. Can be in flux, and you'll see in the sideboard, we actually have Light and Fire both in the sideboard. So just in case, based on your matchups, these might be able to change. But we're starting with Wind and Darkness because a hard removal spell is nice, and being able to stop a mastery spell early on in the game is also very nice, because this is a green deck and it is running a few cancels, but it's not running a ton. So let's go ahead and jump into there. The main deck is playing 2 copies of Planting Beans. This is honestly because Josh, when we were playing, only had a couple of copies, so this probably jumps up to 3 or 4. It's also playing 4 copies of Zombie. And the reason why this is because Planting Beans becomes a zombie, which is absolutely huge, and then mills yourself out. And you saw that sometimes Josh just got insane amount of values of just like zombie hitting zombie, and really fills the graveyard very, very quickly. We're playing 4 copies of the Contract because the Contract is super kind of important to finish the game off for this deck, especially because, again, you can swarm the Reanimate really, really powerfully off of Spirit of Decay and just kind of like kill your opponent very, very quickly. 4 copies of Flora Tsukiyomi. This card is an absolute mandatory for Asuka because of its mastery cost and because it also mills. So it lets you buy back your Contract if they've got milled, unfortunately, or just buy back any of your Darkness cards really, really helpfully, while also serving as a mill. So like sometimes even off of a Flora Tsukiyomi, you'll hit another zombie, and then you like paid 0 to buy a card back and then mill 2 and put a 7/7 into field and mill 2 more. Like, this deck really kind of cascades the mill in a way that like we just haven't seen before, which is very, very cool. 3 copies of Ferrous Spell just to be able to protect some of the pieces. 3 copies of Death Glare. This is great to be able to like rip out Lorites and make future Lorites more expensive, which is really, really nice. You can also, if you have flipped End of Night to End of Night, just make this card free with Mastery, which is really, really nice. 4 copies of Part of True Power, because we want to be able to mill it, and we don't have Rhea because of the combination pan with Zombie, so we want this to hit Grave a lot, so we have easy ways to reanimate. 3 copies of Witch of the Fallen Kingdom, because it's a super important card right now, as long as you can protect it, just to be able to prevent searches. It also is kind of really great to use off of the Griffin ramp to turn into Pumpkin Witch, which then gets us to, you know, a whole board of Swiftness, which is kind of insane. 3 copies of Spirit of Decay, the heavy hitter win con of the deck. Your graveyard is so huge that this drop guy just comes in and says, cancel my enter effect or lose a bunch of life. And then even if you kill it in response, you're still going to lose the life. And if you don't kill it in response, I'm going to start clearing your board. This card got insanely good in this deck for how fast it can mill to the graveyard. It is an absolute win con just by itself. 2 copies of Revenant. Revenant is very, very good, but it is a nice little kind of tech option, so we're not running more than 4 copies of it, or 2 copies of it, especially because we can buy it back with Flora Tsukiyomi. Makes it very, very easy to bring back. It also is very easy to reanimate off of a End of Night, which is nice. 3 copies of Griffin racing against Darkness so that we can reanimate it and ramp stones. 2 copies of Garion because we can reanimate it and it locks people out. And then 3 copies of Death Speaker Monk for some nice instant speed mill as well as potential buyback, which is great. Stone base wise, we're playing 2 Magic Stone of Black Silence as well as 4 Autoroctius Memoria and 4 Darkness Moon Fragments. So we have pure black, green, all over the place, very, very easily. So that is the deck. Again, to keep in mind in the sideboard, he is playing a few extra copies of the Witches, as well as a Pumpkin Witch to go into off of Black Witch if needed, and then playing a single copy of Great Wall and Paramita as the 2 potential options for your Cocoon line. A couple extra Children of the Moon, and then some Decays of the Machines to mess with some things that might be revealed from outside the game, like a dry wing or something else like that. It's not super relevant because of the fact that it also, Decay of the Machines is also a very nice tech against Eins, because you can put their revealed gears back in the graveyard and kind of make their gears smaller. So that's also something to keep in mind. Overall, this is a very cool deck. The Griffin package doesn't necessarily feel super necessary. You can still do a lot of really powerful things without doing the turbo ramp, but I mean, it's green-black. You want to play Power Rest Drew Power. You want to slam Griffins. This is a really great way to be able to do it. Even without Rhea, it still feels very, very good to play. So that is the deck list. Again, huge thanks to Josh for piloting it on the channel and kicking my teeth in as the Eins player, and for just being able to show us the list. Let us know your thoughts on Asuka in the comment sections down below. We'd love to hear your ideas of how you're playing her differently. And until next time, this is GMO73 saying class dismissed.